On this show, we cover some sensitive topics.
Though the obituaries may be outlandish, the people are real.
Names have been changed or omitted in order to respect both the deceased and the survived by.
While death is no laughing matter, some petty last words can provide some pretty entertaining comic relief.
Welcome to Obituary. Welcome back to Obituary. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm Madison Reyes.
And we're here to entertain you for the next hour and a half or so.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, sit down, enjoy your meal, and enjoy the show.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, keep your arms and butts and arms, your other arm,
feet,
and
wigs in the container.
Yes, or they might end up on the wrong body, and your family will be pissed when they get to the funeral home.
Keep your clothes on.
Or off. We don't care.
We don't care. We just told someone on Cameo to send us their butt.
Yeah. We accept butt pics now. I don't know what we're doing ever. Speaking of Cameo, you will notice there has been a price increase.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to let you guys know that it's in a direct correlation to...
Inflation. Honey, how are we supposed to pay the bills?
Yeah, come on.
Just a slight.
It's just a sign of the times.
It's inflation. Look at the gas prices. Oh
yeah.
my God.
Oh, they're insane. $190 to fill your tank? Thanks, Joe Biden.
Oh my God. Try driving a diesel van. That sucker takes about 200.
Oh, she does. She is like, I'm hungry.
She is hungry like her mom.
Well, speaking of cameos, we actually got an email from a listener, and it made me so happy, Madison.
Okay.
The subject line was, "This broad is abroad." And
Ooh.
You'll know what I'm talking about in a second. It says, "Dear Spencer, Madison, Mr. Eyes, Hot Dog, Doris, and Desi.
Aww.
This might be long-winded, so before I totally babble on, I want to make sure that I say thank you. Thank you for making me and my friend Amy scream laugh every Thursday, giving us new catchphrases to adopt. We teach middle school together. So we are, oh my God, babe, and oh, pleasing on the reg."
I love picturing a class of middle schoolers that you're just giving it to.
Oh, just fucking give it to them.
Please.
And inspiring us to pledge to pull vibrators out of each other's butts should the unfortunate circumstance ever arise. Our lives would be terribly boring without you.
We love you.
I'm also excited to report that if I drop dead tomorrow, it won't be happening in Vermont. After months of me going back and forth about whether I should move and work abroad or stay at my job in Vermont, Amy took matters into her own hands and, well, put some into yours too. She got me a cameo for my birthday back in March.
I remember.
Right? And the two of you shared some thoughts on my little dilemma. I have since made the move to Hong Kong and will forever credit this adventure to you and Amy.
Oh my gosh. My mom lived in Hong Kong and loved it.
Do you remember we did the cameo and we're like, you gotta go.
I don't think we knew where she was going.
No, but we were like, you gotta go abroad. We love abroad.
We love that, and good for you.
They said, I've never had 3 people work so hard to run me out of the country. My God, we love abroad. Now I'm sitting in my quarantine hotel room where I've been for the past 5 days, 2 more to go, and I have, of course, checked for clues that somebody might have died in my room.
She's a true Geoff.
There is no sign of fresh paint, although I've contemplated peeling back the wallpaper. But having hardwood floors instead of carpet seems suspiciously proactive if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we won't be seeing you on August 4th, but a postcard will be coming your way soon. Never change. We love you. See you in hell, Kate.
What a doll.
And Amy. She's on the email too, because in the wise words of Spencer, she's the fucking best. P.S. You're welcome to share this and our names anywhere. But that just made me so happy.
You are the best,
Good
you
for
guys.
you for going out there.
Good for you.
Taking on this new adventure where you are sure to just have the time of your life. Your mom always tells us stories about her time in Hong Kong. She just lived, I felt like she lived her best life there.
Oh, it was her second husband, and he owned property out there, and they just had a blast.
Oh, I love it. And we hope that you have the best time there. We skip ahead to a listener email. I feel like we have some other stuff to cover first in the beginning. I have to tell you today, I did this thing with my sister, Olivia, and our friend, Chris, who is just like the cutest Palm Springs blogger.
Yes, the most beautiful house.
Ugh, gorgeous. It's at Melodrama on Instagram. She just is the best, like aesthetics queen. But we did this thing where my sister over quarantine collected a bunch of recipes from like my grandparents and my great grandparents and compiled them into this book.
Okay.
Because she's just organized and she's like, I want to try making one of these things. And our friend Chris, who is very 50s, 60s inspired, Olivia reached out to both of us and was like, let's try and make one of these recipes. We tried today to make these things called like cheese crispies.
Okay. Sounds good. I feel like you can't go wrong with cheese.
You'd think. It's cheese and like Rice crispy cereal.
Oh.
And butter, flour, all of it. You mix it up and you mold it into these little balls.
You posted a picture of them and I didn't read the recipe, but I thought that it was cauliflower.
No.
Okay.
You would think with butter and cheese and all of that.
Anything.
You're set up for success.
Yeah.
Oh.
It
horrible.
wasn't good?
No, I mean, they weren't like, they didn't taste bad, but the recipe called for a lot of flour. And we double, triple checked, looked at other recipes, and they all call for the same amount of flour. They taste like when you bake
like
something
dry?
and you know it's floury. Oh, bitch. I felt like the guy from Halloween or from Hocus Pocus. When he, Billy, when he comes out of the grave after being there for like 1,000 years and he like
Dusty.
shoots out dust out of his mouth. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
There was some crazy recipes back then and we were all laughing because we're like, it's probably because people didn't have a lot of money at the time either and they didn't have the same access to things that we have now. And it's like, we've got all this flour. We might as well make these.
Yeah.
Because you look at a lot of their recipes and they're like very bizarre and simple.
Yes, but I also think that our taste buds have evolved as we've evolved as the species.
As society's progressed.
No, because we're so used to like overly salted, overly everything for it to taste good. So this was probably quite the treat back then.
Oh, yeah. They were just loving it, just letting it crumble all over them.
They were used to arsenic and fucking...
Yeah. I think that was a little before.
Oh, yeah.
But it was wild.
Oh, my God. Okay, wait. We got sent a few things that I want to go over with you. But the first one, I was laughing so hard, Spencer, and it doesn't have to do with death, but a few people sent it and were like, is this the new obituary? And it also reminded me of last week's episode when you talked about the digital afterlife. How they would compile everything into this basically robot or whatever that could talk to you, right? So some Geoffs sent this and it said, I used Google autocomplete to write a dating profile, and it may be the best dating profile ever.
I love these.
It says name. My name is French. My age in seconds. Location. I live in a shed. Nationality. I was born in the dark.
Ooh.
Body type. My body is ready. I am looking for someone to share in an adventure who enjoys listening to sad music and has 2 thumbs.
Hey, that's like honestly one of my biggest requirements.
I enjoy long walks on the beach. I like turtles, I like dogs, and I like to party.
Ooh,
love that.
Yes.
My ideal partner would be a person who is addicted to alcohol, who can fix my car, and who thinks the earth is flat.
Yeah, flat earthers, rise up.
And then the last two, it says my turn-ons are hugging and depression. Mm-hmm. My turn-offs are being blocked on WhatsApp and being found in human form.
God, I have not wanted to fuck a robot this bad.
So, you know what? That's where we're headed in the digital afterlife, people.
Oh, I love it.
But also, I have an update on, you remember that body that was exhumed, but it wasn't the right body? A few episodes ago, I talked about it.
I don't know.
Okay, let me refresh your memory. So, it's a 47-year-old case in Hamden, which is in East Haven, I believe, Connecticut.
Oh, that's where Dorit got her British accent.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So in Hamden, Connecticut, this 47-year-old case, it's a cold case. This woman was killed and the town took care of it. They gave it to a cemetery. The cemetery buried her, right?
Uh-huh.
But nobody knows her name. She's a Jane Doe. A couple weeks ago, there was reports about it. 2 detectives went to the cemetery and exhumed a grave, thinking it would be hers. It wasn't. It was somebody else's, and there was an uproar.
Okay.
But the detectives were like, we're in the right vicinity of the cemetery. We absolutely know it's here. So they tried it a second time. They got her.
What, are they just going around digging up the different plots?
Well, they knew there were Jane Does buried here, and they worked at the cemetery and all that. This Jane Doe, they're redigging up because now we have so much more DNA testing and all that, because we want to find out who she is, right? So they exhumed her, and we will be knowing her name soon, hopefully.
Did they get a match?
We don't know. There hasn't been another update from this, but she was murdered. Her cause of death was asphyxiation. She was strangled to death. Okay, but what I thought was really crazy about this was in this article I was reading, it talked about how the detectives were so hopeful to find her, and when they found her, it was just incredible that they did, because we don't even know her name. Mm-hmm. But they were talking about how she was buried, just how she was coming off of an autopsy. She was naked in a body bag.
Huh.
Hopefully we will figure out who she is, and they'll solve this 47-year-old case.
That would be amazing.
Incredible. Okay, and then one last thing. So I have a listener email that is not funny, but is once you hear the story. It is from Jamie. She says, "Hey bitches, last year my cousin, 21 years old, tragically died in a car accident.
Oh no.
We had his wake in our small town of about 1,200 people, and his funeral was held in the hometown of his mom's family, about an hour and a half away. We're all gathered around as the priest starts his service at the graveside, and he was telling a story about him and my cousin getting pulled over on the way there."
The priest was?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All of us thought maybe he was friends with him before and was telling a story about them getting pulled over on the way to deer camp or a fishing trip. Then he finally explained. The hearse had expired license plates, and they actually got pulled over with my cousin in the hearse on the drive to the service.
Oh my God.
It says he was always a blast, fun-loving, and always getting into trouble. So it was super fitting that he almost got a ticket and was a part of breaking the law on the way to his own funeral.
I love it.
Also, once I get more details gathered up, I have a story for Cult Leader about how my uncle murdered my grandpa.
Oh shit.
I
Send
know.
it in.
Okay, but wait. She says, "Love you both." And she said, "I listened to Cult Leader and Obituary while working out and cleaning. I didn't realize my 12-year-old daughter was in close enough range or even somewhat paying attention at all to what I was listening to. I turned on an episode of Cult Leader the other day, and she came into the room and said, 'Mom, why isn't his wife on the podcast? She's in all the other episodes.'" And then she wrote parentheses, Madison is your wife.
I love it.
Who's going to tell your daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we might as well be married. We spend surely enough time
Oh
together.
my God, we are like an old fucking
married
crotchety
couple.
married couple.
We are, but I love it, and I wouldn't have it
Love
any
it.
other way. We
No
daydream all the
way.
time. We're like, we're going to end up just in Palm Springs with our dogs together one day.
Oh, facelifts.
I love it. Oh, God. Okay, so apparently I had a Geoff moment, they keep calling it.
What's a Geoff moment?
Oh, well, okay. So, like, I think just fucking something up.
Oh, perfect.
Because people were commenting, I don't remember what episode it was, but I read that like really old obituary. It was like a handwritten one for this guy, Patrick Henry.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Oh, well, people were like, oh, how do you not know who Patrick Henry is? And I'm like, how do you not know I didn't go to high school? But I was like, okay, well, who is this guy? Okay, apparently he's some like important figure in American history. So I started
Okay.
looking into him, but I'm like, I don't like what I found.
Uh-oh.
This is from NPR.
Okay.
Which, by the way, pause. Do you ever listen to NPR?
Yes.
Very just like soothing.
Oh, yeah.
It's the opposite of this.
I know.
They're always so like collected.
Uh-huh. It's always that one guy's voice. Yeah.
Or the woman, and they're like, the national basketball team of blah, blah, blah. And I'm like loving it. And then I'm like listening to us, and we're like, ooh, yeah. Send us your butt pics, fuckers. I don't
God,
know.
nasty bitches.
Anyways, NPR wrote this article because somebody recently wrote a book about Patrick Henry. This guy, Harlow Giles Unger, wrote a book called Lion of Liberty, Patrick Henry and the Call to a New Nation. And it says, quote, there might not have been a United States if it weren't for Patrick Henry, but as founding fathers go, the legendary orator and statesman from Virginia has been somewhat neglected in the national memory. Without a huge obelisk near the National Mall or an HBO miniseries to remind Americans, Henry seems to be chiefly remembered now for two fiery quotations. These I know. If this be treason, make the most of it. And the line that became the...
You know that?
This next one became the de facto motto of the American revolutionaries, give me liberty or give me death.
Oh, yeah.
So
That
he's-
was him?
Yeah, that's this guy.
Why did they say that in the obituary?
Yeah, maybe you should have led with that.
Wow.
It's unfair to reduce Henry's career to excerpts from two speeches, but it's also fitting that he's remembered chiefly for his words. Henry was a hard-working lawyer, a somewhat adequate military commander, and a popular, if inconsistent, politician. He wasn't the best farmer or the best businessman, but he was almost certainly the greatest orator of the 18th century America. And then it says, historical biographies can turn into hagiographies or hatchet jobs fairly easily, but Unger, the guy who wrote the book, a journalist who has written books about James Monroe, John Hancock, and others, does remarkable work untangling the difficult subject. Henry can be both inspiring and infuriating, and there's no doubt that he was sometimes a study in contradictions. He opposed slavery, which he considered a lamentable evil, which I was like, oh my God, like that's great for back
Right.
then. But then it says, but he himself was a slave owner and was conflicted enough to write, I cannot justify owning slaves, but not conflicted enough to actually set anyone free.
What?
So I'm like,
Oh,
okay, please.
Right.
Sorry, Patrick Henry. Sorry I didn't give you your merits.
Bye, bitch. I wish we never read your obituary.
Yeah, I never would have read it in the first place.
Oh my God, do better research.
Yeah. me.
You.
Oh my God. I think we're ready to move into some I the assholes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. The subject line on this first one says, am I the asshole for not wanting my granddaughter to have the same name as our unborn daughter? My wife Laura and I struggled to have children. After 2 years, my wife got pregnant. Unfortunately, there were many complications and we lost our baby. We had named her Evelyn and had made so many plans. It was really hard on us, but we managed to get through it. Now we have a daughter, Amy, and a son. Amy has a fiance, Max, and is 7 months pregnant. Last month, they were over to see us and announced the name they chose. It was Evelyn. My wife and I tried to hide our shock and not ruin the mood, but Amy had noticed we didn't seem happy. Afterwards, we explained to Evelyn and that naming the baby Evelyn really hurt. Amy hadn't heard about her before and was shocked and sympathetic, so they had never told her that they had a daughter before her.
Oh, I was thinking it's like she was trying to honor. Okay.
They said, however, they told us that they're sorry, but they don't think they should change it. We weren't happy, but I would accept it. But then Amy basically said it was fate and that our granddaughter could be the girl we didn't have, and that basically it would be a tribute and give new meaning to the name. But that's not how it works. Children just can't be replaced. I admit I perhaps overreacted, but I snapped back and basically said that Evelyn can't just be replaced like that. While she wasn't born, she was real and not some title that can be rebranded. And that while she can name Evelyn what she wants, it's not some beautiful act for her unborn sister. Max got angry and we argued. He basically said that it's their choice and we should suck it up. And I agreed, but said that doesn't mean we can't be hurt by it and that it's cruel to act like I should be happy. It didn't go well and Laura asked them to leave us to just process it. I still don't like them naming their daughter Evelyn and I do want them to change it, but obviously I can't make them. Amy and I managed to kind of make up and mostly avoid the issue. However, Max and Laura have dug in. Max doesn't want her involved with Evelyn if she can't both just accept their decision. Laura basically thinks that they're being cruel and must change the name or else she won't be involved. I've tried to stay out of it and be there for Amy. However, Max constantly makes remarks and reminders, basically making it clear that it's their decision and Laura and I need to butt out. It seems like the fighting got to Amy and she wants to name Evelyn something else. Max came to us last night and was furious. He called us manipulative and controlling and that it's disgusting for us to force Amy not to name her daughter what she wanted. It didn't end well. Max eventually left and hates us. Amy isn't happy and feels even more conflicted. I basically told her to do just what she feels is right and I'll support Amy whatever decision she makes, but honestly I agree with my wife Laura, but it's ruining everything and I'm starting to think we never should have said anything. Am I the asshole?
That's just a shitty, weird situation.
Right?
But I mean, I don't want to say it's just a name.
People get weird about names, which I get. And I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think names are the most important thing. Sorry, I don't. I'm like, there's so many names. Like, if it's going to be easier to avoid conflict, it's kind of like...
change the name. Maybe compromise and that will be her middle name.
Yeah, something like that. Like, oh, well, I still want to honor her or whatever. But also I'm like, okay, the daughter didn't know that there was a daughter before her named Evelyn. And I would be like, because I'm like kind of like woo-woo like that, I'd be like, oh, that does seem serendipitous that you didn't even know when you chose the name. Like, how magical is that?
How magical. Her name it doesn't mean they're replacing her.
No, it's just like she can live that name, that life.
Yes.
They were voted the asshole, and I think it was because of how they handled the situation, which I agree. First of all, it's a lot to drop a bomb on somebody who's about to have a baby and has the name picked out and be like,
actually,
oh, by the way,
you had a sister.
Yeah, by the way, you had a sister and we can't support you naming your child this or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like one of those things where it just doesn't seem like they really thought out how to present that.
Right. It's a sticky situation.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's the asshole.
It's also why you never tell people the names before you give birth.
Oh my God, sign that birth certificate and then...
Yeah, put it in ink.
What are you going to do?
Put it in ink before you think about telling anyone what the name is.
Oh my God.
How about that? But it's a hard one. There's so many feelings involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This next one, it says, would I be the asshole if I went nuclear on my aunt for wanting to make my grandma's ashes party favors?
It's always the fucking aunt.
Why are they always doing something? My grandmother passed away on Tuesday.
Party favors? Did you say that?
Yes. My grandmother passed away on Tuesday. My aunt, my grandmother's daughter, has put herself in charge of planning the memorial. She has decided that she wants to set out a basket of small jars with my grandmother's ashes in them for guests to take them if they want them.
Stop it.
She seems to think this is normal. My mother, also my grandmother's daughter, and I very strongly disagree. We think that only close family, like her children, grandchildren, favorite nephew, should be given this honor if they would like. I know for a fact that there may be a few people attending that my grandmother disliked that would potentially take a jar, and I do not want that to happen. My mother will be discussing with my grandfather what he would like to happen since my aunt refuses to listen to him. If he wants this, I will bow out. If he does not, and my mother fails to convince my aunt, I'm prepared to go nuclear and bring the fire down on my aunt. Mm-hmm. Would I be the asshole if I do this?
No.
No, that's crazy. Sorry. Your aunt's a fucking nut job. And I have a personal story about this.
Okay.
So at my mom's memorial, it was beautiful. There was a lot of people there. There was about...
Didn't you say like hundreds showed up?
There was about 400 people. Yeah. Wow. It was insane.
She was loved.
Loved. She was loved. That is for sure. She has this one friend that she grew up with who was kind of always like teenage years, like the wild one. Mm-hmm. And I won't say her name because she has also since passed, but she was wild.
Okay.
And kept being wild her whole life into her 40s, 50s.
A lovable wild?
Hey, we're not going to invite her to functions. Kind of wild.
Because she's not functioning. Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, she shows up at the memorial service. I was smoking a cigarette outside of my mom's memorial service, like off in this little area because I was stressed. I was going through it. I needed a cigarette.
Like smoke all you need.
Please let me have a cigarette. Yes. So I'm having a cigarette. She comes and finds me. Walks up to me bawling. Spencer, can I have a hug? I'm really sad.
Oh.
I was like, I am at my mom's memorial service for her sudden death. I'm in shock and grief right now, and I have to go give a speech. And so I gave her a hug.
You're on autopilot.
She's like, will you go get blah, blah, blah for me? And I'm like,
no.
I literally said no and walked away. But then afterwards... we start getting these texts from people that are like, oh, I have your mom's rock in my garden. I have your mom's rock on my mantle. We're like, rocks? We didn't hand out rocks.
What?
What are they talking about?
Oh, God. I've never heard this story.
That bizarre woman had taken these little rocks, like just little, I don't even know, rocks, and written my mom's name on them in red Sharpie and handed them out to people.
At the funeral?
Yes. She handed them out to people and like put them out and stuff. And this was like, it was like kind of like a formal memorial.
And people have rocks in their pockets.
We were mortified because people thought we like handed them out. And so like still, I've never talked about this before. Still, we'll get texts from people sometimes that are like, I always think of your mom and we're like, we would, because our mom was so like such a classy lady.
She would have hated that.
She would have been mortified.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? How many rocks did this woman have?
Who knows? Because there was so many texts. And like, I didn't know what to say to people because they're sending these texts to be nice. I think it was one of my really close friends texting me about the rock. Like, oh, I have the rock. And I said, bitch, what rock? Where did you get this? Did you write did you do this? And then we found out.
Did you guys ask her about it?
She's not someone to reach out to.
Okay.
And she has again since passed. Isn't that crazy though? The audacity to hand something out at somebody else's service.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
That is terrible. Wow.
That's a wild story, huh?
Oh my God. I'm sorry that happened.
Which, I mean, we need to do a whole episode on funeral etiquette in general.
Yes.
Because we've heard some crazy stories and we've both had crazy stories of our own now.
Yes.
I'm like, we need to just fucking go lay it out.
Lay it out. We should do just a whole episode on that.
Oh my God. Well, I am up first this week.
Yes.
So that means you got a little side action for us, honey.
I sure do.
Let's hear it.
All right, we were sent this obituary, and it comes from an article from iflscience.com, and the article says, bisexual polyamorous goose love triangle ends in tragedy.
Bisexual polyamorous goose
love triangle ends in tragedy.
Oh, I love it.
says Thomas, a New Zealand native, beloved father, and alternative lifestyle icon, has passed away at the age of 40.
And this is a goose?
This is a goose.
40 in human years or goose years?
What's goose years?
I don't know, like dog years? Do geese live till 40 years old?
I don't know, I guess.
Oh my God.
It says, this is how the obituary would read if Thomas were a human. But the famous Wellington resident was actually a goose. A blind, gay, interspecies, polyamorous goose whose life story captured the hearts of locals and the world at large.
Fuck.
Thomas first rose to celebrity when he was a young male in the gaggle at Waimanu Lagoon. There he was, observed shunning other geese in favor of the company of a male swan named Henry. The couple were together for 18 years before a female swan, Henrietta, flew into the picture.
Fucking bitch.
Henry and Henrietta began to nest together. But instead of the traditional monogamous pair bond normally shared among both geese and swans, Thomas stuck around and they became a dedicated triangular unit.
You know, if it works for you, it works for you.
Thomas was an invested parent to Henry and Henrietta's 68 cygnets over the next 12 years, during which time the family was a regular and much cherished sight. Henry passed away in 2009, after which Henrietta found a new partner and Thomas finally tried mating with a female goose. Tragically, the young goslings were adopted by a different male, leaving Thomas alone once more. When he became blind in both eyes in 2013, Thomas was brought to the nearby Wellington Bird Rehabilitation Trust to pass his remaining years. We have loved having Thomas as part of the WBRT family and have treated him with extra special love and care. He was such a special boy and a wonderful character. Messages of mourning quickly filled in, especially from fans who appreciated Thomas's symbolic support for LGBTQ issues.
Thomas said gay rights.
I know. So that is our Thomas, and he is an icon for sure.
I wonder if Henrietta and Thomas are still together.
I don't know. She's kind of a floozy.
Oh, a hussy.
Oh my
I love it.
God. This is our show.
This is show business.
And we're going to read what we want to read.
Yeah, and you're going to listen.
Well, should we take a quick little break before we get into some coffin spinners?
Oh, Madison, I think that's a divine idea.
Oh, we'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll see. We just don't come back. All right, we're back. We came back. We said we would. We always follow through most of the time, unless it's something we don't want to do. But this is something we do want to do.
Oh, we look forward to it.
Oh, yeah. I was spinning in my coffin all week. Couldn't wait to get out of there. So I'm talking to my friend Carolyn the other day, right?
Uh-huh.
We've been friends for, just about 20 years now. And somehow she had neglected to tell me that her family has long operated a funeral home in Chicago.
What?
Yeah. I'm like, how do you not tell me
Carolyn,
that?
you
Come
didn't
on, Carolyn.
tell Spencer?
Oh, 2 decades? She was like, wait, I've never told you this? And I was like, no, you definitely have not. Anyway, chatting, talking about funerals and whatnot, as conversations usually go with us. Mm-hmm. And when we get into the topic of funeral processions,
okay,
she'd spent several years living in Texas, where I feel like they're way more common to see the big funeral processions than they are here in California. And I was telling her, I was like, you know, I've seen some here from time to time. I've seen some where I grew up. There's a little cemetery. I would see funeral processions sometimes headed to that cemetery.
like in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But like the ones that I've seen on the East Coast, I remember one time I got stuck in Florida traffic forever, of course, Florida, in a super long procession. Like they do it different over there. It's not like it is here.
Got it. Okay.
They're much more prominent and formalized, I feel like. So I started looking into the history of funeral processions and I learned so much. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today.
Oh, I'm so interested to hear about this because, well, I never really thought about it, but why do we...
Like, what are they? Why do
Yeah.
we do it? We're going to get into all of it. Processions, also known as koreg, I guess is another word for them, which translates to pay honor. Which is essentially what they are. I was sort of under the impression that perhaps they originated as a means of almost like letting townsfolk know when somebody had passed. I thought maybe they had originated from the same kind of theory as like a death notice. Like taking them through town, letting everyone know.
Right.
But it seems like they have long existed to honor the deceased as well as show community support. We're going to get into the different types of processions, but first I want to get into the history, which actually dates back to the ancient Egyptians, whose processions were led by someone that they would choose to be the Kareb, also referred to as the mummy.
Oh.
They would place the deceased individual onto a sledge, which I think was just like kind of like
a bear, kind of, yeah.
That was then pulled either by a group of men or oxen to take the deceased individual to their final resting place.
Okay.
Obviously, this is happening long before cars were invented, so family members, servants, other members of their communities would trail behind them on foot as a way to pay respect. But guess what else they had at these processions?
What?
Moirologist.
Oh, the professional mourners.
Yep, it was very common to have professional mourners in attendance during these early processions. So just kind of tag along, do the whole cry and wailing. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I love that.
Processions were also found in ancient Greece, and the ancient Greeks did things a little bit different, according to jewelrykeepsakes.com.
Your favorite website?
My favorite website. It's where I get all my Pandora charms. It's random. I know. They have something called the ekphora, which would take place slightly before dawn. The deceased individual would be laid to rest on a bear, which I know we've talked about plenty with like the history of hearses and all that. And carried by chosen pallbearers to the burial grounds. And on the way, attendees would sing songs to express their feelings of grief and then place the deceased into a decorated tree. It was customary at the time to either cremate the dead or place them in a wooden box on a wooden slab.
Okay.
The ancient Roman funerals were a celebration of the deceased passage between life and death, and it was believed that they needed to provide a respectful and proper ceremony for the dead to prevent any bad spirits from rising from the underworld. Which I always love. I loved, like, remember when we talked about superstitions and like all the different ways that people will cover up mirrors and do all this kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. I've got some superstitions for you later.
Oh, baby. Very superstitious. Their processions were different based on their social status. If you were just kind of like a regular Joe, you would have just a quiet procession.
No more moirologists.
No, there's no moirologist there. But if the person that died was wealthy, they would have a very like elegant, drawn out procession with bands and hired servants and the whole shebang. The procession was one of 5 parts to the overall funeral service, which I can do a whole episode on their traditions that they had.
I never thought about the funeral being in 5 parts.
Yeah, and carried significant weight and meaning. The more wealth that the deceased had when they were alive, the more lavish the processions. And similar to ancient Egypt processions, the ancient Romans would hire employed procession actors, aka moirologists, who were employed to participate in the group of mourners. The wealthier the person was, the more mourners they would have as well. So they, you know, you got $1 million in the bank? We're going to give you 10 moirologists.
Oh my God.
You got $1 billion in the bank? Oh,
100.
baby. Hundreds of moirologists. The deceased would then be transported on a bear during the procession, followed by family and friends, and they would make their way to the burial site to be laid to rest. Hinduism was probably one of my favorites to learn about, and again, I could do an entire coffin spinner on everything I learned, but the Indian city of Banaras is also known as the Great Cremation Ground because it's an area that's centered around Manikarnika along the Ganges River where the Hindus bring their deceased to be cremated. cremated. Typically, at their services, you won't find many, if at all, any women in attendance. The men will come together immediately after somebody passes away, and the oldest son is left with the task of leading the procession as other men follow along. And all of them, while they're carrying the body to the crematorium, just chant out to God the entire time.
Okay.
Upon arrival, once they get to the crematorium, the body is then bathed and wrapped in a white garment and brought to the area where the cremation is set to take place. The son leading the procession carries a fire pot when he leaves the house, which is used to light the funeral pyre.
Wow.
And I thought that was actually really cool, like symbolism.
Yeah.
Like you're actually, a family member is the one lighting the fire for the cremation. I think that was really cool.
Again, it's like hands-on, intimate.
Uh-huh.
That's how I would want it, not like,
hey, we're dropping her off out back.
at the retort.
Yeah.
Like, just slide her in.
Oh, I want to light the retort.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That would be hard, I feel like. It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
But you grew up with it. That's your tradition. That's what you're used to.
Uh-huh.
And it's such an honor. But if I had the option right now, I'd be like, I don't want to light it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. I've never been in the predicament.
I know.
Nobody's ever asked.
Wow. Always an attendee.
Never the pyre lighter. Instead of light my fire.
Light my pyre.
Light my pyre, babe. The procession ends at Minicarnica, where the body is dipped into the Ganges River, then sprinkled with sandalwood oil and covered with garlands of flowers after being cremated.
Beautiful.
I think it's so beautiful,
I love
Madison.
that. Anything with flowers, man, and a dead
This
body.
is when essential oils can come into play with the body, okay?
Right.
Not fucking Pope Formosus with the goddamn
No.
whatever he was trying to do there, his embalming techniques. This is
Jesus.
like beautiful. Imagine just like taking your cremated loved one. You're not putting them in the
Their
closet.
bones.
Like, when are we gonna sprinkle them? You just take their ashes, bring them down to the spring, sprinkle some oil over them, and cover them with garlands of flowers. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. It is.
It makes me feel so calm and happy when I think, and I'm constantly reworking in my head what I want for myself when I die.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
always.
like, wouldn't that be a beautiful experience versus just like, well, what now?
I know.
I love it. In more modern times in places outside of India, the domestic traditions of decorating the bodies, circumambulating, and offering rice balls occurs at the family home or funeral home instead of the cremation site. No large procession takes place, but rather the male family members carry the coffin from the home to the hearse and then follow in cars to the crematorium. The coffin is again carried by the men from the hearse into the chapel at the crematorium. The chief mourner and male family members will flip the switch to light the cremator after the funeral ceremony takes place. In some cases, the family will travel farther to spread the ashes of the deceased in a holy river. However, if they choose not to do so, the ashes will be spread in the sea or a river nearby.
Wow.
So that's kind of like the more modern version of it, which is still a lot nicer to me than...
Yeah.
So for us, maybe it would be like flipping the switch now, not so much
Right.
lighting the flame.
Much nicer than someone's aunt, like, here's some party favors. I'm going to pass out your ashes.
Grandma's in the salt shaker. Grab one on your way out. In Islam, a funeral procession is a virtuous act that typically involves participation from other Muslims. Traditions that the Prophet began urged Muslims to participate in the continuation of funeral procession, and it's believed by Muslims that by following the funeral procession traditions, praying over the body, and attending the burial, they will receive what's called qirats, which I hope I'm saying correct. It's Quirats, which are basically rewards that put them on God's good side or Allah's good side.
Ooh.
So they're like, by participating, it's like gaining me brownie points, basically.
Okay.
Back to that article on jewelry keepsakes. What was it? Something like that. I don't know. I already said it once. Funeral processions of notable figures in Islamic society would attract large crowds because many people would want to honor the deceased. Like ancient Roman funerals, the number of people attending a funeral service can be considered a mark of social standing. The more well-known well-known and prominent the deceased was in their waking life, the more likely people attended. In some cases, the governor may insist on leading a funeral procession for men of high prominence, even if it's against the deceased family's wishes. Which I'm like, oh, fuck that. I would not want some politician coming in and leading a memorial service for my loved one.
Please.
Oh, back off. Just stick to sending me crazy emails and phone calls.
Yeah, asking for money.
Yeah. And then this I actually thought was really interesting. Apparently it's customary that only Muslim faith attendees are designated pallbearers, with attendees of other religions following along on site. In Judaism, they also have kind of a stipulation like this. The funeral service is generally held at a funeral home, cemetery, or in rare cases, the synagogue. But if the funeral takes place at a cemetery, they obviously don't have a procession because, well, there's nowhere to go. But if they do it at a funeral home, or on the off chance they do it at the synagogue, they'll have the procession immediately following the funeral service. And it's customary, again, in Judaism, to let both men and women be pallbearers, but with one exception. They could not be mourners of the deceased, otherwise known as avelim, which I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So
must be like someone who is maybe like in their community, but not someone directly mourning the loss of this person.
wow.
Interesting,
That
huh?
is interesting.
As you can see, there's a lot of history. A lot of what I've been talking about up until this point has been usually like the older way of doing things. Mm-hmm. And those were just some of the cultures that I wanted to highlight. But of course, as times continue to modernize, there have been changes. They would start using horses to pull the bodies. And then when the hearse was introduced, they became more like what probably most of us think of when we think of what a procession looks like today. And I think I read that the first car to transport a body was in 1909. Fun fact. According to Richard Rutherford's 1990 book, The Death of a Christian, the transition from procession by foot to procession by car can be attributed to two main factors: the switch to burying or cremating the body at locations farther from the funeral site, and mainly the introduction of motorized vehicles and public transportation, making processions by foot through the street no longer practical. Which, like, yeah, if you think about it, you wouldn't want to walk a body down the fucking highway.
Right.
A modern procession will usually be led by the funeral coach or hearse, carrying the deceased individual from the funeral home or place of worship to a cemetery or crematorium. Following closely behind is the family in their own vehicles. Sometimes a limousine will be used to transport those closest to the deceased, while the rest of the mourners will follow in their own vehicles, and depending on the size of their group, it may cause quite a bit of traffic, but you do not want to cut in line, because we're going to get to the rules in a moment.
Okay, but wait, I just thought of something. Does anyone or has anyone ridden in the hearse with the body?
I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's typically like how they were saying in that email. I think it's actually usually like the priest who will be in the hearse with the person or driving the hearse.
Okay.
Which I could be totally wrong. You guys know the drill. Correct us if we're wrong.
Right.
I don't care. But I would assume no.
Okay.
It seems a little gauche to me.
To ride in the hearse. Yeah. No, I know. And I guess the body's leading.
Yeah, they're leading the charge.
Yeah.
Let them go first.
Okay. All right. Yeah, who's going to have a funeral if they're not there?
Oh, yeah, wait. I was reading an article while we're on the topic of transportation from the KrausFuneralHome.com, and they were like, we have some impeccably maintained Cadillac hearse available, but if you want to go more off the beaten path, we offer a 19th century hearse that can be drawn by a 3-wheel Harley-Davidson motorcycle. I love it.
When one of my best friends died and she rode horses for her whole life, they had
you told me
like
this.
An old horse-drawn
hearse, right?
Yeah, ride to her grave.
Was it just beautiful?
It was beautiful.
Oh, chilling.
Yeah.
I love when people get creative with it.
She was like the best horseback rider I've ever known. So perfect.
Many ways to get there, babe. Now, I found this set of rules from keohane.com, and they said that when driving to a funeral procession, you need to turn on your headlights to let other drivers know that you are part of the procession. Some funeral homes will provide a flag for your vehicle, which I feel like I always see like a little slip of paper or something. Stay close to the car in front of you so other vehicles, which are not part of the funeral procession, cannot cut into the line. Stay in line. Most states allow the entire procession to proceed through an intersection, even if the light turned red, except to yield to emergency vehicles or the directions of a police officer, which I do see during processions sometimes. Usually there'll be a motorcycle cop, at least here, and they'll like kind of stop traffic so people can continue on.
Right.
Don't use your cell phone or other distractions from driving. Drive slowly. Yeah, you don't want to be the next one they're having a procession for.
Yeah.
Drive slowly. Most funeral
beat the hearse to
You're
the
like not paying
red
attention.
light.
You're just zooming around them. Drive slowly. Most funeral processions will follow the posted speed limit or even go a bit slower and no more than 55 miles per hour on the highway. Then they have a set of directions if you encounter a funeral procession, which is probably even more important. Yield the right of way until the entire procession is through an intersection. Once the lead vehicle is in the procession, usually a hearse with flags visible and headlights turned on goes through a traffic light or a stop sign the entire procession is typically allowed to follow. Look for the last vehicle in the procession, which usually has hazard lights on, blinking to signify the end of the procession. Once the last vehicle passes, traffic flow may continue, but if the light is red, wait for the light to turn green before proceeding through an intersection. Never cut into a funeral procession or tag on to the end of a procession. Don't honk your horn at a funeral procession. On the highway, don't pass a funeral procession on the right unless the procession is in the far left lane. Highway one I didn't know.
Yeah.
Don't honk your horn. Imagine being the asshole that's just like, oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
What are you in a hurry for?
I'm sure there are people like that.
Oh, God. I know there are.
Am I the asshole for honking my horn at a funeral procession?
Yes. Yes, you are. And now listen up, Geoffs. You might want to pay attention because if not, it could end in disaster. HowStuffWorks.com reports that funeral directors say driving in or near a procession is a risky business these days because many drivers in the U.S. are unaware of the laws and customs surrounding funeral processions. Not if they're Geoffs.
Not if they're Geoffs, but God, I would think that it would be dangerous just on the basis of grief and road rage. People already are prone to have a little road rage as it is.
Yeah.
But you're grief stricken.
Oh.
I'm getting out of that car and I'm fucking you up.
Honk at me. See what happens.
Yeah. It won't be good.
Bitch. Well, actually, there has been tons of incidents of like shootings happening during processions that I saw.
Really?
Well, not tons. I'm exaggerating. I only saw like 2 or 3, but still.
Scary.
Crazy. I also read that Nevada is the only state that specifically allows the lead vehicle to go through a red light without stopping. The laws in Arizona, Idaho, Kentucky, Montana, and North Dakota give funeral processions the right of way at all intersections, implying that processions can run through red lights and drive through stop signs. But yeah, you just got to be careful and just be respectful.
Be respectful, people.
Now, I could not talk about funeral processions without discussing the tradition of jazz funerals.
Yes.
While there are several origin stories, they are most notably tied to New Orleans, where they became popularized as early as the late 1800s.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I always think of New Orleans with the jazz processions. But I also think of, remember that movie Double Jeopardy?
Oh, how good is that movie?
Remember she wakes up in a tomb in New Orleans and she's in a coffin?
Is that in Double Jeopardy?
That's in Double Jeopardy. And she rolls over and she's like next to an old man corpse. And she has to break out.
Though the name jazz funeral is apparently a term that came from outsiders, New Orleanians prefer the term funeral with music, or at least they used to. I think they call them jazz funerals now as well.
Okay.
But they're absolutely one of my favorite funeral traditions because it's such a celebration.
Yes.
And I know when we were talking about
Famadiana, the turning of the bones, dancing.
Yeah, we were just talking about like, come on, people, live a little.
Live
or
a little.
don't. Live for the ones who aren't.
No, I know. I agree with that.
They're typically reserved for, or at least in the past have been reserved for high-profile members of society. It started out with musicians, though. And actually, I read in some sources that it started out from, like, musicians who weren't necessarily like super successful musicians. It was just kind of something that the musicians did for each other when they passed away.
Oh.
According to the New Orleans official website, as long as you're respectful, passerbys are often encouraged to join in and help celebrate.
That's cool.
Jazz funerals are led by a marching band and will typically travel alongside the deceased from their home to the church, in addition to following alongside from the church or the funeral home to the burial site. From face-to-faceafrica.com, the jazz funeral procession begins immediately after the formal memorial service or wake for the deceased. As mourners exit the service, they are joined by a brass band that plays music that starts off sad, like Nearer My God to Thee. Family and friends cry during this somber march to the cemetery, but once the deceased is buried, the band starts playing joyful jazz music to symbolize that the deceased has gone to a better place.
That's cool. I didn't think about the lineup of music, the set list. I didn't think about the set list.
Metro writes that one of the earliest accounts of what we now consider a New Orleans jazz funeral came from architect Benjamin Latrobe, and I saw his name come up a lot, so I think a lot of it's attributed to this guy. He recalled a funeral that began with mourners wailing loudly and ended with calamitous laughter. By the start of the 20th century, a new style of music, jazz, was also starting to emerge, and it was quickly adopted by the funeral bands. New Orleans jazz funerals had arrived. In recent times, jazz funerals have been held for young people who died during tragic events. Mm-hmm. So like after Hurricane Katrina, they did a lot of jazz funerals, and funeralwise.com did an amazing write-up where they said that the music and dancing of the jazz funeral were intended to both help the deceased find their way to heaven and to celebrate the final release from the bounds of earthly life, which had in the past included the release from slavery.
Wow.
The call and response style of music and chant, coupled with tambourines, drums, music, and dancing, were elements of African funeral ceremonies which crossed the seas with captive slaves. In American culture, this type of funeral caught on among the African American populations of the Deep South. But as the tradition was not welcomed by the Catholic Church, which again, the Catholics, ruining the party, was restricted largely to the Black Protestants of New Orleans and came to be the funeral choice particularly among impoverished people and musicians. Toward the middle of the 20th century, as the movement caught on more, social clubs and insurance policies arose to help the underprivileged afford these funerals, giving rise to the most celebrated of funerary jazz bands, the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. Over time, the jazz funeral tradition grew to become New Orleans' most honored of funeral ceremonies, with horse-drawn hearses and parades for fallen police officers, well-known musicians, and other pillars of the community. In its final days, the traditional hymns, gospel, rock, and R&B music of the jazz funeral began to fuse with influences from the funk and hip-hop world as street gangs and rappers adopted this style for honoring their dead. One of the last jazz funerals, that of rapper James Soulja Slim Tap, drew a crowd of thousands.
Wow.
Historically, the New Orleans jazz funeral could last up to a week and sometimes even included a parade. A typical funeral began with a slow march from the home of the deceased to the church or funeral home. During the march, the coffin may have been carried by a horse-drawn hearse and was accompanied by a brass band playing somber dirges and hymns. After the memorial service, the march would then proceed to the cemetery and the tone would remain somber, again, kind of repeat information until the coffin was placed in the ground or the last of the group was out of the church.
It feels like these mimic the emotions or the stages of grief.
It's just leading it with music. Yeah, it's like using music as a way to like symbolize what is happening.
Right.
I love it though.
Me too.
So much.
Oh my God, our funerals are going to be insane. Jazz bands.
Moirologists.
Clowns.
And it mentions again how people on the street are often welcome to join in and go along. There's a name for that specific group, and they're referred to as the second line. The brass band would play a couple more hymns, though these were played with a swing beat to alert mourners that the mood was about to change. And then they would launch into wilder music with tambourines and drums. And the music and the dancing were both a cathartic release for mourners and a celebration of a life well lived. In this state of jubilation, the group would then march back to the location of their reception.
I love it.
And that is my little rundown on processions.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to know more about it.
I was wondering, I'm like, how have we never talked about this before?
Know. There's some basic stuff that we have not talked about yet that we will.
Oh, we will. And if you guys have any personal stories about processions or things in your cultures that you know that they do differently, please
email it over.
I'm serious. We love to know.
Oh, absolutely.
You're talking to two idiots who live and breathe this. We used to just go sit at the fucking mortuary and just sit there and look at everything. We're like, why do you think this is like this? Why do you think the stairs go this way? Do you think that's symbolic of it? Like, we love to know all the little ins and outs of everything.
It's so interesting. It's like looking at our future home.
Yeah.
I mean, truly.
We'll be half in the river, half in a tree.
We're
going to be shot into space.
Yeah. Frozen.
Oh my God. Well, how about we take one more quick break and then we'll come back in and see what got you spinning in your coffin.
Perfect.
Let's do it. And we're back. Madison, what had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Oh my gosh, Spencer, I feel like this week my topic goes very well with yours.
Is it related to death?
Yes, how did you know?
Oh my God.
So in one of our earlier episodes, I went over cemetery plots and what happens to a cemetery when it goes bankrupt and how in many places you rent a grave for a number of years instead of having the promise of forever like we do here in at least California.
That's a good slogan for a cemetery. The promise of forever. Come down to Madison and Spencer's mortuary.
Promises of forever.
Ooh,
oh,
baby.
Love it. We've also gone through cemetery symbols and some pretty interesting graves, but like you, I realized that we have never ever gone through the very basic history of cemeteries. All of the things that a cemetery may have to offer other than a burial place for loved ones. And cemeteries are a relatively new thing, I've learned, and the type of cemetery that we know and love today has really only been around for a few centuries.
Huh.
Before we get into it, there are a few different types of cemeteries. There's your monumental cemetery. These are our traditional cemeteries with tons of different headstones and monuments and tombs and all of that. Then, and I have such trouble saying this word, rural or garden cemeteries, which are cemeteries that are modeled with gardens and kind of like a park and trees and greenery. It's beautiful. Then you have your urban cemetery, which is in a town or a city. You have your natural cemetery, which is your eco-friendly green burials. Then you have your private or family cemeteries, which is, we've talked about this before, you own the land.
It's in your backyard.
It's in your backyard. You do what you want. The first known burials, these ones, we don't refer to them as cemeteries. We say prehistoric cemeteries or grave fields. These go as far back as 130,000 years ago, way back to the Stone Age, where Neanderthals roamed the earth. The Neanderthals were the first people to bury their dead intentionally. They would bury their loved one in a shallow grave with animal bones, tools, and flowers. And there was a burial site found in Croatia not too long ago with almost 900 Neanderthal remains, all varying in age.
Wow.
So then the early humans in Israel, Mesopotamia, Ireland, and the Mayans all buried underground as well. Ancient Egypt, the last part of the Neolithic years was called the pre-dynastic era. And in this era, they buried their dead in round graves and they buried them with beautiful pottery. And yes, there were still those beautiful tombs that people were placed in, but a burial underground was more for lower and middle class people. The tombs were, for the riches. In ancient Rome, they buried people intentionally underground as well. But I did read that in ancient Rome, a burial had to be done at night.
It was just rule of the land. Law of the land.
Law of the land. Thought that was very interesting. In ancient Greece, this is where we got the word cemetery, which means sleeping chamber. They didn't start using the word cemetery until they referred to the Roman catacombs as a cemetery. And
remember the catacombs in Paris someone sent us?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. We'll actually get into those just a tiny bit. There was a cemetery found by archaeologists in Greece recently, dating back to the 8th century BC. And this cemetery was made up of over 3,000 infants. And instead of coffins, they stored their remains in ceramic vases.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Like full, like not cremated.
No, yeah. So why people even started burying their loved ones intentionally? A lot of people didn't until, more recent years, but people were put out to sea. They were cremated. They were burned on a pyre. They were eaten in like cannibalistic rituals. They were left on cliffs or in trees to be eaten. And we will get into sky burials and that kind of stuff in another episode because that is very interesting in itself.
Well, what's interesting is I wonder if that's why during the processions they said that, I think it was in Hinduism, they would bring them to a tree. Yeah. Probably so that they could be recycled in a manner.
Yeah.
Huh.
As things progressed, people realized, okay, burying underground provided protection from any critters. It also shielded everybody from seeing the body of your loved one decay. And it also muffled the horrendous smell that a dead body produces.
Stinky PU.
Do that somewhere else.
Oh my God.
Do that underground, please.
Please.
An article on thoughtco.com says many early burial rites and customs were practiced to protect the living by appeasing the spirits who were thought to have caused the person's death. Such ghosts protection rituals and superstitions have varied extensively with time and place, as well as with religious perception, but many are still in use today. The custom of shutting the eyes of the deceased is believed to have begun this way, done in an attempt to close a window from the living world to the spirit world. Covering the face of the deceased with a sheet comes from pagan beliefs that the spirit of the deceased escaped through the mouth, which I know we've talked about, and in some cultures, the home of the deceased was burned or destroyed to keep his spirit from returning.
Oh, fuck. They said burn it down.
Okay, so this sent me in a whole nother direction. I had to see what people were burning their houses after the owner died, and I couldn't completely find that answer. But I did find that in Madagascar, they believed that a house was alive during the building process and it must be killed in order for people to live in it.
Oh my God, that is just rational.
So they perform a ritual to kill the home because they believed that a home had its own life cycle. But going back to the burials, yes, there were a lot of superstitious beliefs that that's why we should bury the body, because the spirit, so it can't re-enter anywhere else.
Listen up, Betty Bungalow. Your days are numbered.
Your days are numbered, honey. Let's go to 7th century Europe. This was in the Middle Ages. We talked about before how the Christian church just ruled everything.
Yeah.
At this time, you could only bury underground on church property. These Church properties were considered to be your urban cemetery, and typically people were buried in mass graves and left to decompose. Then, to make room, their bones were moved to an ossuary in the church or buried in the church walls and under the floors.
Cool.
So in those old like churches you see in New York, Boston, like wherever, I guarantee there's people's bones buried underneath.
Drop down the oubliette.
Ooh. Then when they didn't do that and buried people and didn't fuck with them after, these cemeteries were typically divided by class and your social status. So having a headstone was expensive. If you had one with the most symbols, you just won. And if you couldn't afford a headstone, then you got a cross, which was either wooden or metal, like a stake that you could put in the ground. In Europe and USA in the 19th and 20th centuries, this is where we see cemeteries pop up that we kind of still know today.
Okay.
In Europe in 1711, there was an architect named Sir Christopher Wren. He was really pushing for a rural cemetery. And by the beginning of the 1800s, there was a huge increase in population causing overcrowding. And there were flu epidemics, cholera outbreaks, and just many diseases happening. So there were a lot of deaths. Church burials became outlawed. This is why we have the catacombs, because 6 million people were buried in the catacombs in France during this
crazy.
time. Yeah, so then they had to come up with a plan. So they decided to go forward with the plans for a rural cemetery, which was on the outskirts of towns, and it was ready to open in 1804. And this cemetery was named, I'm going to butcher it, Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, which means Cemetery of the East. And it is still there, up and operating, and still accepting new clients. However, you must have either lived in one of the capital cities or died there. And it is the largest cemetery in Paris.
Wow. I remember you talking about that one Paris cemetery.
Oh,
with
the pet one.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. No, this one's so beautiful, too. Then in the U.S., the first rural cemetery was built in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and it's called Mount Auburn. It was built in 1831. It's still there, operating. Europe and the U.S. were inspired by a new burying ground in New Haven, Connecticut. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if that is where the Jane Doe was exhumed. And that was built in 1794, and this burial ground was the first to break away from the church and have a state and city run cemetery. These early garden cemeteries are something that I absolutely wish we would bring back today. During the mid-19th century, a ton of rural or garden cemeteries were popping up all over Europe and the United States. People didn't treat them how we treat cemeteries today. Their views on death were vastly different than ours today too, which we've definitely talked about. These cemeteries felt like a beautiful park. They had statues, monuments, mausoleums, immaculate landscaping, and just an overall very peaceful feeling. They had hills and wildlife and were just incredible. People would go and make a whole day out of it. You could take your date there and have a picnic. You could have your anniversary parties there. You could celebrate a birthday, holidays, host a carriage race, or even go hunt some critters.
Ugh.
Vendors would set up selling treats while children ran around playing hide and seek among the graves. Farmers would bring their cows there to graze on the grass, and they said that graveyard grass made for sweeter milk.
That's what they always say.
That's what they always say. Now, in 1847, New York passed the Rural Cemetery Act. This act allowed the commercial use of burial grounds, which turned it into the nonprofit business that we know today. For more than half the 19th century, there was a huge rural cemetery movement that produced a ton of cemeteries. But in the 1850s and 60s, more parks started opening up. So the need to go hang out at the cemetery became less and less necessary when there was a park on the corner that you could go to. This replaced the rural cemetery. This is where the lawn cemetery comes in. In 1855, Adolf Starch created this style of cemetery, and it's still pretty. There's still, some trees and landscaping and monuments, but it was so much easier to maintain, and they're generally extremely flat. So very, very easy to take care of. Now today, I feel like we don't connect with cemeteries like we all used to. I don't know. I just feel like it would be so cool to see people enjoying a cemetery. And I feel like I would want to be buried in a garden cemetery or a rural cemetery where families are there or people on dates or whatever.
Oh, not me. Leave me alone.
Leave you alone. I'm trying to sleep.
You especially. You want to sleep so much during this lifetime?
Like a rock. I wouldn't even notice. There are some cemeteries today that are trying to really redeem that same feeling that we used to have in the 1800s of a cemetery being a recreational type of space in the community, not just a burial ground.
Love.
So for one, we always talk about the Hollywood Forever Cemetery where we like to go and watch movies. They also host concerts there, events, weddings, and they do an annual slumber party. There's also a cemetery in Washington, D.C. It's called the Congressional Cemetery, and they have a dog park on the cemetery grounds that you can visit, which is how I read they generate about 1/3 of their business because you have to pay a membership fee to use it.
Huh.
Yeah, at least it won't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, at the Greenwood Cemetery, you can enjoy a puppet show, music, and sometimes a pop-up bar among the graves.
Fun. See, that's what I'm talking about. Have a little celebrate with your deceased loved ones.
Exactly. In Arnos Vale, in St. Vincent, they host burials and weddings as well as a ton of events, family days to explore the wildlife, Christmas markets, and mindfulness events. Mount Auburn, which was the first rural cemetery, does a huge urban beekeeping tour and they do wine tastings. Elmwood in Texas, they have ghost events and true crime events. Laurel Hill in Philadelphia, their cemetery does a cinema in the cemetery, much like the Hollywood Forever.
Sinespia.
And then the Oakland Cemetery in Atlanta. I love this place. I looked at so many pictures. It's gorgeous. They hold weddings. They have an art gallery. They're having right now, which will be a week before, but they are having a sights, symbols, and stories tour where they go around and look up the symbols and what they mean on graves.
Whoa.
And they also do an epitaphs tour. So they go around and look at the epitaphs written on gravestones. And they have a 50 Ways to Die tour. So I guess it was like an old Western town and they talk about how people would die.
That's so cool.
I know. They're also hosting a Girl Scout scavenger hunt happening in the next few days. So I just love it. I'm like, why not? They're not these scary places. They're peaceful places. They should be, or they could be lively places again.
As long as people are respectful,
Absolutely.
I'm all for it.
Right. That goes without saying.
You see people walking on headstones and stuff, and you're
That
like,
is so wrong.
Fuckers.
Yeah. No. You have to be respectful. But that's why I like the Hollywood Forever, because you're not sitting on graves watching a movie, but you're in the graveyard and there's graves around you, but there's a patch of grass that you can sit on. And I just think it's so cool.
Lovely.
I want to end with some words from a man named Keith Egner. He wrote a book called Cemeteries, where he goes over everything about a cemetery you could ever imagine. He also does TED Talks about them, and he was interviewed in an article from The Atlantic. And I just want to read one little part because I absolutely agree with him. They say, quote, "After spending so much time in cemeteries, has it made you feel a certain way about death? He says, frankly, death is inevitable. You know the old saw about death and taxes. It is something we all have to face. I don't necessarily welcome it for myself, but I think it's healthy to recognize it's coming. It gives you a sense of finiteness of your life, the preciousness of your life. Cemeteries are places that make us reflect upon not just the mortality of those who are buried there, but on our own mortality. These are not scary, creepy places, but moving, rich, provocative places with really powerful and positive meanings. I think fleeing from the reality of your own mortality, isolating our elderly and dying in these bland memorial parks, I think that is kind of escapism. I think it is sort of unhealthy of a denial of death, as it has been called by various writers. You don't have to dwell upon death. You just have to recognize it.
Yes, recognize her.
Love it.
Love it. Love death. Love processions. Love cemeteries. Love it all.
Oh my gosh, it is cool.
It's honestly, I feel like I just love learning.
Me too.
Hated school. Love to learn though.
I know.
Fascinating. I feel like we got some good origins down in today's episode. This is like OBITCH, the origin story.
We're in class today.
Yes. Oh my God. I love it. And well, speaking of class, we're going to learn some very valuable lessons from my obituary today. Should we get into them?
Let's hear it.
Let's do it. I'll preface this with a little just blurb really quick from goodthingsguy.com. This is from September 28th, 2021. A talented writer and storyteller, Carrie Grote of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, passed away on the 14th of September, 2021. She had GBM, glioblastoma multiforme, an incurable, fast-growing brain tumor, and she rallied well past the typical 18 months and lived courageously for 29 months. She left the world suddenly, and many of her friends were utterly heartbroken, but she also left a letter that has gone viral around the world. And Yvonne Ator shared the post, which has been shared by thousands. And so it's really been making the rounds on the internet again lately, which is where I stumbled upon it. I saw actually someone on Facebook reposted it.
Okay.
And then, funny enough, I was looking at our Gmail today and somebody had sent it to us.
Oh, wow.
In the past week, after I had already picked it for this episode. I was like, oh, serendipitous.
How funny.
So as I said, that Yvonne person posted to share Carrie's letter, and it says, my friend Carrie Grote died this morning. While I am still processing, I wanted to share the words she left to be read upon her passing. Life is short. I hope they bring you perspective, inspiration, and healing like they did me. Rest in peace, Carrie. I love you. All right, now on to Carrie's self-penned obituary. If you're reading this fucking brain cancer probably got me. But let me be crystal clear, while I'm able, I did not lose a battle against cancer. This is a ridiculous, steamy pile of horseshit that society has dumped on cancer patients.
Yes.
Western medicine and Western culture especially is so uncomfortable talking about death that instead it created this battle analogy that basically shames people who die from cancer. Newsflash, none of us get out alive from this rodeo called life. There is no shame in dying from cancer or any serious illness, and it doesn't need to be a battle. It's a transition that each of us will go through. I was asked by a shaman whom I spoke to after my second brain surgery, are you running towards life or are you running away from death? Whoa, that got my attention. There's a big difference. I got it wrong more often than not. Don't let fear fuel your choices. Live fearlessly, run towards life. Don't worry about what people will think, and trust me, it doesn't matter. Focus on you, be true to yourself, be your own best friend. People who tell you you're selfish are not your people. If the voice in your head says these unkind things, get a new voice. Honor your mental health and seek out a good therapist with the same vigor you'd search for in a romantic partner. Speaking of, be intentional about cultivating friendships that lift you up. As those friendships grow and change, don't overlook them when you search for that great love of your life. No, I'm not suggesting you sleep with your bestie, but you do you. Another unhelpful message that we get from society is that we need a love of our life as a romantic partner. Single and childless when I was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, I looked around my life and came up sputtering and sobbing from the wave of grief washed over me. I thought I'd be doing this alone. No no husband, no kids, no great love. How wrong I was. At the first appointment with my neuro-oncologist, one of the nurses diligently hauled in chair after chair for the great loves of my life who came with me that horrible day and many days after that. I sat and listened while the doctor explained the 12-month treatment plan, focusing on my breathing, then looked around the room filled with great loves of my life, incredible women friends whom I had met at various stages of my life. Surround yourself with people who contradict that unkind voice, people who see your light and remind you who you are, an amazing soul. Learn how to receive these reflections from your people because they are speaking the truth. Love yourself no matter how weird and silly it might feel, and every morning give yourself a hug before your feet hit the floor. Look deeply into your eyes in a mirror. Say to yourself out loud, I trust you. That voice in your head might say you're a dork, ignore it. As I prepare to leave this body and embark on this mysterious journey of my soul, I hope these observations from my deathbed are somehow useful. What I know, deep in my bones, is that learning to love myself has led me to be able to say this: I am so proud of how I lived. May you, dear reader, feel the same when you head out on your soul journey too. Until then, enjoy the ride and always eat dessert first, especially if there's pie.
Oh my God, my eyes are watering.
Just so much good
Wisdom
and insight, and like, look for a therapist. I know I fucking talk about therapy all the time, but look for a therapist how you would look for a romantic partner. It's like, it's so true. And it kind of goes back to something we've talked about a lot before, where it's like your soulmate isn't necessarily the person that you marry or the person that you romantically are involved with. Like, soulmates come in so many different forms.
and you can have many,
Yeah,
you know? Oh,
totally.
God.
So just
I
great.
just had to take my fake eyelashes off right now.
Great insight
off.
from Carrie Grote.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, rest in peace. I'm sure you're on a beautiful journey of the soul.
Just love the phrasing of everything.
Really great wisdom. Words to live by.
Words to live by. What you got?
Not a nice one.
Okay. You told me, you were like, have you been seeing the obituary we were sent? And I said, no. And then I asked you if it was this one. And you were like, no, it's not that one.
Yeah, no, this is not a nice one. And we keep getting sent it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Is it a scathing one?
Yes.
We haven't had one of those in a while.
I know.
Oh, bring it back.
Lawrence H. Pfaff Sr. was born in Belmont, New York on April 16, 1941. He passed away on June 27th, 2022, living a long life, much longer than he deserved.
Oh, we've heard that before.
He is survived by 3 children. No, 4. Oops, 5 children. Well, as of 2022, we believe there is one more that we know about, but there could be more. His love was abundant when it came to himself, but for his children, it was limited.
Oh.
From a young age, he was a ladies' man and an abusive alcoholic, solidifying his commitment to both with the path of destruction he left behind, damaging his adult children and leaving them broken. Lawrence Sr.'s hobbies included abusing his first wife and children. He loved to start projects but never followed through on any of them. He enjoyed the life of a barfly for many years and had a quaint little living space studio above his favorite hole in the wall, the Club Nashville. Lawrence Sr. did spend over 20 years in the NYPD, but even his time in service was negligent at best. Because of his alcohol addiction, his commanding officer took away his gun and badge, replacing them with a broom until he could get his act together. Lawrence Sr. did claim to be clean and sober for over 30 years, but never worked any of the 12 steps, including the 8th and 9th steps with his children, making amends. He possesses no redeeming qualities for his children, including the ones he knew and the ones he knew about. It will be challenging to miss Lawrence Sr. because he was narcissistic. He was incapable of love. Lawrence Sr.'s passing proves that evil does eventually die, and it marks a time of healing, which will allow his children to get the closure they deserve. Lawrence Sr. can be remembered for being a father to many, and a dad to none.
Oh.
And that is it.
That cuts, that last line.
That fucking cuts.
Father to many, dad to none.
Oh, I think it proves that evil does eventually die.
Oh.
Just cut me.
Well, don't rest in peace, I guess.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Oh, glad the kids can get some closure.
I know, but I think we need a little laughter now.
I think you're right, which means that it's time for some dumb
Ass
criminals. Let's do it. I got Douglas Goldsberry today.
Ooh.
A Nebraska man, which we don't hear from Nebraska too much.
We don't.
An Elkhorn man is facing felony charges after Douglas County investigators learned that he had been sending sex workers to his neighbor's home for several years. The family with 2 small children contacted investigators after they said escorts and other sex workers were regularly exposing themselves on the family's front porch.
What?
The family said that it began in May of 2013 when they told investigators that these incidents would occur as many as 25 to 30 times per year.
What?
The previous owners had a bit of the same problem, one neighbor told Wow 6 News. According to the family, many of the women became upset because they expected to be paid by someone in the residence. The family said they feared for their safety. Some of the individuals kicked at their door. According to police reports, one individual urinated on their property. Court documents filed Monday allege some of the women stripped naked on the family's porch. Okay, so basically what's happening here is this guy would just hire these women to come and like tell them like, oh, strip on the porch or whatever. But it was really, he was just sending them to the neighbor's house and then he would sit and watch from inside his house. It says deputies conducted surveillance in March and witnessed 2 women expose their breast on the lighted porch. Another woman stripping completely naked. Deputies interviewed the women and discovered a number that traced back to Douglas Goldsberry. Investigators said Goldsberry admitted he was soliciting the women through a website. He told deputies he would discuss sexual acts for money and promise additional money if the girls would strip on the porch. Goldsberry, who lives on the same Elkhorn neighborhood as the family, would watch from a window and sometimes photograph the women.
Oh my God.
And so basically, yeah, he was like just a weirdo neighbor who was sending escorts over to his neighbor's house, this family, and being like, get naked.
Holy shit, what a creep.
Creepy dumbass. He admitted he would regularly meet escorts at hotel rooms, and he's now facing charges of 1 count pandering, 1 count soliciting prostitution, and 10 counts of disturbing the peace. But I'm like, he should also be charged, like put on some kind of list for like Megan's Law, knowing that there's children living there and he's having naked people strip on their porch.
Yeah.
Creep.
Dumbass. That is insane. But I have another insane dumbass criminal from a Geoff named Danielle. She sent this in and said, I came across this article and just knew it was meant to be read on an episode of Obituary. The man's comments alone deserve a Madison laugh. I included the link below. So we're going to take a look at this article from foxla.com. It says, chickens die every day, people. Florida man arrested for killing neighbor's rooster claims self-defense.
God.
So we actually have a video of him being interviewed by the news.
Oh, I love it. Play it.
You know, he calls the chicken police on me. Chickens are dying every day, people, at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Did tell him, after the chicken hit my dad, I said, hey, man, the chicken attacked my dad. Oh, what's the deal? It's just a chicken. What's he gonna do? You know, okay, well, look. Kids that used to live over there, they were throwing rocks and sticks at this chicken to keep it away. I didn't know to give it a 21-gun salute, CPR, mouth to mouth, you know, or call the chicken ambulance. So I'm defending myself. You know, I was feared for my safety, and the chicken, you know, died.
Oh, my God.
So this Florida man is facing animal cruelty charges, but he's claiming that it was self-defense. And this article says, quote, I just checked my mail and turn around and go, and I hear bang, 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 bang. And I turn around and there's a chicken out there in the street. I said, oh boy, here we go.
What, do you have a gun?
Turn around, walk to my place, bang, 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 bang. Now the chicken's in my yard. Now its neck flares up. Goes on to say, Nick said he picked up a stick in the yard and tried to hit it in self-defense, but with the rooster jumping at him, he accidentally knocked the bird in the head, killing it. So he's saying it was self-defense, but an accident.
Well, I want to know what the bird would have had to say.
I know.
Oh my God, what a dumbass.
What a dumb
Can't outrun
ass.
a chicken.
I know, and
Please.
I hate people like this, but I kind of like that he's like, what am I supposed to do? Give him a 21 gun salute? Am I supposed to call the chicken ambulance? Like, I don't know.
You can't make this shit up.
You really can't.
Oh my God. Well, I don't know what to say about that. I have no words.
Oh my God, we're 2 hours in.
I'm left speechless yet again. So I guess remember the good from this episode. Remember our history lessons.
Yes.
Remember not to be like, what's his name?
Lawrence.
And
Or the chicken man.
Or the chicken man. And those are all the lessons that we have to offer on this lovely day to you all out there. Oh God. Well, we know we have some packages to open, but I think this episode's running a little long, so we're going to save it for next week. But if you do have things you want to send us, I'm laughing. Can we just tell them we accidentally grabbed 2 that are just for me?
They're all for you.
Sorry, girlie. It's my Christmas over here. Oh my God. Well, actually, you guys should send Madison stuff for her birthday that's coming up. And if you wanna, you can send it to P.O. Box 18149, Long Beach, California, 90807.
And follow us along on Twitter and Instagram at Obituary Pod.
You can follow us on Instagram too, at Madison Mr. Eyes.
And at Spencer Henry.
And at Hot Dog.
Yes.
And at Hot Dog in LA, not at Hot Dog Alina.
And write to us at
obitpod@gmail.com and come to our live show.
Come, please, August 4th.
There's still a few tickets available.
The
but
booths are sold out.
Sorry, booths actually sold out, so now you can't have one.
Yeah, sold out. You hear that, people?
Sold out. Well, that's it for this week. We will be back next week with some more coffin spinners
Obituaries.
and dumb
Ass.
criminals. Goodbye.
Goodbye.